The outlook for global auto sales is for a continuing recovery from coronavirus lockdowns, but at a slower pace than suggested by the early explosive rally, hampered by the shortage of semiconductors. The lack of computer chips is also stimulating new ideas and technologies to help speed up the recovery from the shortage. Some suggest sharpening up the global supply network by eliminating old paper-based methods and concentrating on digitalization. Others see virtue in recycling old chips which are apparently dumped well before their useful days are over. Companies like Navitas are suggesting ways to end the decades-old reliance on silicon with new materials like gallium nitride, which allow for faster production of chips which are smaller, light and cheaper. That's not likely to impact the auto industry until perhaps 2025 or 2026 though. Meanwhile, the bottom line is the slowing recovery in global auto sales, says LMC Automotive. The semiconductor shortage is clearly having an impact on selling rates in key markets. With no immediate remedy in sight, there is a risk of the situation worsening in coming months, which could further disrupt the post-pandemic recovery in demand, LMC Automotive said in its monthly global sales report. LMC said the global selling rate in June slipped to 82.4 million cars and SUVs a year, from the previous month's 82.9 million. LMC said the US market began to feel the chip shortage in June, with the selling rate falling to 15.4 million a year in June from 17.2 million in May. Western Europe's selling rate rose to 13.7 million in June, but with the annual rate in the first half 12.9 million, that's a long way down from 2019's pre-pandemic 14.29 million. China's selling rate of 25.2 million in June was sluggish, according to LMC, while the chip shortage in Japan dragged sales down to a 12-month low of 4.1 million. Last week, the German Auto Industry Association VDA cut its forecast for the nation's car and SUV output to growth of 3%, down from a previous forecast of a 13% gain. This would bring annual production down to 3.6 million in 2021, 400,000 lower than its previous forecast. LMC said June sales in Western Europe are 24% below the same period of 2019, before the pandemic struck. Risks lie on the downside, as the semiconductor supply shortage threatens to disrupt the post-lockdown rebound in demand during the second half of this year, with the chance that some consumers could delay their purchases if their desired model is experiencing supply issues, LMC said in its West Europe sales report. Data firm IHS Markit, in a recent report, said chip supply will remain a challenge and will only keep up with demand in the first quarter of 2022. Investment bank UBS said stocks and prices of semiconductors are stabilizing but from extreme levels, while supply tightness will last well in 2022 as stocks have not yet started to increase.